Hello guys, welcome back to another tutorial today. It's about that time once again where we have to create Christmas designs for brands, events, and flyers to give to our loved ones to greet them for the season. Alright, so today I'll be teaching us how to make a certain flyer which I'll call the FAUX 3D flyer. Alright, because this there'll be more emphasis on this for the purpose of this tutorial, and I'm calling it the FAUX 3D because it's not exactly a 3D text, but it looks like one. Alright, so after this I'll finish up with the flyer, and yeah, let's get into it. So the first thing we'll be doing is to create a document. Click create new, and for the purpose of this particular design I'll be using the 1500 pixels by 1500 pixels and a resolution of 150. Color mode on RGB color since it's for social media and not for print purposes. Leave this as 8-bit and leave every other thing as they are. So create. Now the first thing I like to do is to create my background, and since it's a Christmas flyer like I just showed us, I chose a red background, one that's not too harsh, one that's not too bright, one that's not too dull, just one that fits correctly. And I think I found the perfect X value for it, which is CC3C3C. Okay, and press OK. Alright, and yes, we'll still be darkening the background a little, but we'll get that later. Let's just keep this as it is. And I like to lock my layers down. Whatever layer I know I would not be working on either till the end of the project or not, I just like to lock them down to avoid movement around the canvas. Okay, so the next thing would be to add our tree. I already downloaded one which I would like to use, and yes, this was created in Illustrator. I would have shown us that, but for the lack of time, there is not enough time to do that, so I've just exported this which I would use. So let's, instead of dragging, you could drag and place, but for people who don't know that you can place embedded, just click place embedded, come to where your file is, and then double click, and then it places it where you want it. Alright, so let's just place this here. You can press enter or click here. Alright, and yeah, now we get onto our text. So I'll be using, for the main text up here, I'll be using Montserrat. Link to the resources I'll be using here would be added to the description below. Whichever one does not have a link, I would export and send to us. So this is our text, and here we cannot directly place it on the tree. Okay, so first of all, let's reduce the size of this. Okay, zoom in a little. Behind this, I want a rectangle. Just something to differentiate it, to set it out of the background of the tree in the background. So let's give it a red color. Let's see. Now we don't want this to blend with the background, so let's find a lighter shade of this. So let's use FF for the 4D. Okay, I think this could work. Let's see how it goes. Okay, so this cannot remain like this. I'd like to change the perspective of this. So press Ctrl T to transform and then click perspective. So when you click perspective, click either of these corners to change the perspective whichever way you want to. So click and drag. Whatever you do here affects the other side. So just adjust until you like what you see. Okay. You could adjust the bottom as well. Yeah, just okay. And that is that. So make sure they are aligned together. Align them, and yeah, we'll be adding our values to this now to give it the full 3D feel. If you've been hearing me say faux, what faux means, FAUX means fake. So it's not an actual 3D, it's just one that looks like it. Okay, so first thing we would do is to add a stroke. And the stroke we would be adding is a gradient stroke. The fill type would be a gradient, not color. And your gradient is a plain white on one side and a transparent one on the other side. So we want our stroke to look like it's coming from one side and then stops in the middle towards the other side. So let your smoothness be 100, this on white like I said, and press OK. The size of your stroke at 2 pixels, angle of your stroke minus 45 degrees, style linear, your scale at 150 degrees. Alright, and yeah, for the other stroke now, we could have easily just added a new stroke here by clicking here and then maybe adding a second stroke with another color, say like this. Okay, let's use darker. We could have done this, something like this, and then continued, but we need a shadow behind this white text, alright, and we need one behind this stroke, and doing this would not let us have that, so we have to do it independently, and hence we would have two texts with two different blending properties. So let's continue, let's finish up with this first text first of all. The next thing we'll be adding is a bevel. We'll be adding a bevel, and yeah, I'll be sticking with this value. I think my depth 220, my size 87 pixels. Yeah, soften it at 16 pixels. Your opacity, leave the white at 27%, black at 19%, because if we increase too much it makes our text too dark or too light. So just I'd like to leave it at 19%. Okay, your altitude 37, angle minus 180, and then that is for bevel and stroke. Now for our drop shadow, like I mentioned, we need to add a drop shadow to this. Okay, so our opacity, we need to make it obvious, so let's move it up to say let's make it a little darker. Let's leave it at 75. Alright, our text seems to be coming together. So next thing would be distance, I think the distance is good enough. Distance seems to be good enough. And then our spread also seems to be good enough. Our size also seems to be good enough. Okay. Our angle though, let's leave at 45 degrees. Alright, and I think that's it for this text. Okay, so press OK. And then for our second text, which would be under this one, let's just click and press Alt, and then click to create a duplicate, or press Ctrl Z, press Ctrl J to create a duplicate of this, and then we'll be working with this one which is under. Okay, so double click. Under this one we do not need a bevel, so we'll take the bevel out, but we do need a stroke. Okay, so let's create a stroke for this, and for this we would be using a color, or a color. So let's pick a value, just whatever value you would like to use. I think let's use the one which is here. The shadow would differentiate it from the background, so our size would be at 20. Okay, our size would be at 20. Yeah, this is good. See how gradient comes. Okay, so it looks cool. I think I want the other side of this to be a little darker, so let's see, let's change it to a gradient, then click for this, and then for this same color but a little darker. So we would use a darker red, let's say A83131, right? And then make sure you increase this opacity to 100 and press OK. Right, now I think this is coming along real nice. Okay, so the next thing would be to add a color overlay, just to give it an extra source. Alright, this should be E6 444F, and yeah, cool. So we have our values, we have our drop shadow as well. Okay, our spread at 22. We need it to be dark, to be really obvious. Okay, yes, our text is coming really alive now. Our angle at 45 degrees, and then press OK. Alright, so to give it this step view, let's press Shift and then tap your up arrow key once, and then to the side, to the right once as well. Okay, and then press Ctrl, click both layers, click the rectangle layer as well, and then press Ctrl T, and on this V value press -4. Alright, as you can see, our text is coming really alive now. Okay, so we have this, and since we have this, we're just going to be using the these same values for the text beneath, the text below. So all you do is either you press Ctrl, Alt, click, Shift and drag. I hope you got that. Again, Ctrl, Alt, click, Shift and drag downwards. Pressing Shift allows it to move orderly, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. So it does not move around. If you take your hand off Shift, it makes it move around in an irregular manner. Alright, so to press down Shift to have it directly below your upper text. Okay, and we want this to be below this rectangle, so we can give the rectangle a shadow. Okay, so I'm just going to group this. Press Ctrl G, rename this to bumper text, and then group this as well. This is going to be a sales text, so let's just name this as sales text. So we will just, all we have to do now is double click on the first one, make sure your caps lock is on, and press sales. Okay, and then double click on the second text as well and press sales as well. It just fits. Right, align correctly. Oh, this was not clicked. Right, so align them, and this is too wide, so we'll be bringing it in. Ctrl T, press Alt to bring it in together, both ends, and let's change the perspective of this a little bit. Here, I think this works. So let's add a shadow to this text behind, to the rectangle behind. Double click, go to drop shadow. Here, could reduce it a little bit. Right, yeah, I think this is good. Yeah, this is really good. It's coming along real nice, real nice. Okay, so press OK, and we have our upper text. I think these rectangles are looking a little too bright, a little too bright. Okay, so let's just give it the color of our background here, CC3C3C, and do the same for the rectangle below. Double click and just click outside here, and okay, so we would need to add a shadow behind this as well to make it stand out of the background. If you can see, it's kind of blending into the background. We do not want that. So instead of going to create a shadow again for this, let's just right click, copy the layer style of this already made one. Yeah, right click on this and paste the layer style, so we have the same thing. Alright, so that is that for the main text. So moving on to the other things around this to make it pop more. I mean, what's Christmas without bells, stars, and all of that, right? So to create our stars, instead of going to download stars and all of that, you could actually create it one yourself. So go to the polygon tool anywhere on your toolbox here. Let the number of sides be 4. Okay, if I draw, mine is going to give me what I want already because I've used it before. But if you do not have this, if this is not what comes out for you, this is how you get it. Before you draw this, ensure you click this button, set this to star. Once you click star, set your indent size to 65% and then smoothing indents. If you do not click this, if these are not checked, this is what you would have. Okay, this is what you would have, but we do not want this. This is not a star. All right, so if you click just this, or you click just this, it only smoothing the corners of whatever shape it gave you. Okay, but this is still not what we want. We want this. So to get this is what you do. Set your thickness to 1, and here you get this. Okay, so while you draw, you can turn your cursor around to change the positions. Press shift to move it around by 45 degrees around. But if your shift is not pressed down, you can move it at irregular shapes and angles. Okay, so just do it however it fits you. And here, that's how to get this. So set this to bring this on top of every other layer. Set this color to white. Okay, bring it downwards towards the text. Press shift to transform this at a regular size, and if you want it at irregular sizes, just release your shift and you can adjust it however you want. So you can leave our shift and just click here. Okay, and we need it to pop. All right, it looks nice like this, but we need it to pop a little more. So I would add an outer glow. Double click this and add an outer glow of a color that is quite bright. Okay, we do not want, this is too much. We definitely do not want a white. Okay, so let's add an outer glow. Let's use a yellow color, say FFDF00. This color is looking nice, but it's too bright, spread too much, size too much. Okay, so let's adjust those. First of all, opacity is set to 85%. Okay, then our spread set to 13, and our size set to 16. Okay, and this looks good. Set this to normal. All right. Yeah, just press OK. Ensure range is at 100, jitter is at 0, and press OK. This is good. So all you have to do now is just press Ctrl Alt, click and drag to create duplicates. Press Shift to just change the sizes, adjust everything. When you've done that, create another duplicate, as many as you'd like. All right, just to make it pop, make it come alive. Okay, you can choose to put it anywhere else on the document. Right. Just try and play around with it, Okay, so we'll just leave it at that now. And first, let's add our upper text. Let's group this. We're beginning to have quite a number of layers, and if you had used the normal 3D action for text like this, you would have had even more layers, but this is a less stressful way to do it. Instead of clicking actions and having so many layers to adjust, this is one way to make it less stressful and faster. So let's name these stars. Okay, let's just add a text here, Christmas word new year. For this, let's use the font Bebas Nui. Reduce the size to say, let's see how 48 looks big. Bring it down a little more. Alright, and then this should be on say -20. Okay, let's bring it down a little. -40. Alright. Okay, so since these are not on a straight line, yeah, they are quite slanted, so we would have to slant this as well. And to do that, you come to your V value here and put this on -4 as so everything is in unison. Alright, ensure it's aligned to the canvas. Double click, let's add a shadow to make it pop out of the background. Click drop shadow, that's a little too much. Let's see if this value has what we need. Yeah, so opacity you could set to say 55. It looks a little too spread out, so let's just put this at 10. Okay, increase spread to 15. Okay, alright. Maybe we might actually need to spread this out a little more as well. It was at 60. And yeah, press OK. So this has made it pop out of the background, and yeah, our design is coming together now. So let's add some bells. What's Christmas without bells, right? So I downloaded these bells from FreePic. I'll add the link to the description. You can choose any of the ones you'd like to use. Let's pick this. If I pick this out the way it is and drag it onto here, there would be an issue with the background, exactly this, because vector blurs, vector shadows usually are not like Photoshop shadows. Alright, so you should not export like that. Make sure you take out this first of all. Press Ctrl, click, delete, press Ctrl, click, delete, and we do not have any shadows here anymore. So once you click this, you have just this. Then you click and you drag, and then you have just this. Okay, so whatever shadow you may need, you add it yourself here. Alright, so press enter, and then let's add our shadow ourselves so you guys can see it. Let's reduce our spread, increase the size. Okay, I think that should do. If you do not like these values, you could adjust to fit your liking. Okay, so let's take another one, this as well. Make sure you take out the shadows behind. Okay, and then click, drag into here. You can add as many as you want, but for the purpose of this, I would not want to have too many. Okay, so let's bring this down a little bit, and then let's just take the shadow from here. You know how we do it. Right click, copy the layer style, and then right click on this, paste the layer style to have the same values, right? And that's basically how we get this. Alright, so I'm just going to run through the rest of the flyer, and then that would be the end of our tutorial. So that's the end of this. To add an extra source to our background, I think I'd like to add doodles, a few doodles. I think I should have one or two. Okay. Let's see. Okay, so let's just bring these. Press Ctrl A. Or let's take out this background first of all. Press Ctrl A. click and drag this into here. Alright, enter. Let's give this a white overlay, color overlay, and give it white or a lighter shade of red. Now let's bring this down below this, on top of the red background precisely. Then you can come down, reduce this and just resize to fit the whole background, and then bring down your opacity to say just enough to not make it too obvious but still under. So yeah, it's still there but not too obvious. So now to darken our background a little bit so we can give this part a little more focus, let's add a lighter red here. Alright, press B to take your brush, take a soft edge brush, increase this to resize enough. Alright, and then just click. You can use blending properties to just add however you'd like it to be. So do it until you're satisfied, and then after doing that, I think I'll need to bring this down. Create a new layer as well, and then this one would be to darken our background a little bit more. So let's give this a 8:3:1. Okay, and then bring up your brush tool and just click and drag to the parts you want to darken are dark enough for you. Okay, alright, and voila, we're good now. So this gives us that focus that we need. Okay, and yeah, that's for that. I hope you enjoyed the tutorial, and I'll see you in the next bit. So keep creating magic.